Welcome to the channel. This week on the Kiwi Barefoot Gardener, we tackle pruning the fruit trees. I take a run at my to-do list and try and remove a large number of items off that. Come bottle with me in the garden. My name is Dawn and I am the Kiwi Barefoot Gardener. Good afternoon from a sunny coastal Canterbury. The previous 4 days have been freezing cold with single digit temperatures. Today has just got up into the double digits. The sun is out, although there is some cloud lurking in the distance that I'm hoping will just go away. And I have escaped for a few hours out in the garden. Now, because I'm only out here for a short period of time, because it'll get cold probably just after 3 and it's sort of like 1:45 now, I've just come out to do a few odd catch-up chores. So one of them being the strawberry bed watering system. So I just need to pop in a few bits and pieces there, add to it and test it and see how it goes. So I thought I'd bring you along with me and see what we get up to. If there's time after that, I've still got a ice cream container full of bulbs that I need to plant. So they're my two to-do things this afternoon, if I can get both done. Now I've just pulled the net back and I'm just being a wee bit careful. Bo is sitting over on the fence, so hopefully he leaves me alone. But yeah, what I need to do is get these things back in place. When I originally put this in, or was it summerish? I can't remember. I put in the bits of hose here, the extended 4mm ones with the wee drippers, in the holes that had been there originally. So I didn't make extra, and I'd hoped that it was going to be enough. But it soon became clear that the pressure was too great for the end where the hose went in, and if the end got warm at all, it just shot off and the water just went all over the grass, which isn't where I wanted it. Even when I put on extra clamps to try and keep it there, it just did, yeah. So it's obvious that I need to put a few extra of these in to reduce the pressure. Initially I'd put in one of these dripper things between 4 strawberries so that it sort of fed 4 strawberries, but yeah, it looks like it'll have to be sort of 1 each gap, I think might help. So I'm going to try and do that now. Now, just looking at the strawberries themselves, they seem to have done quite well since I put them in. Sorry about the angle of the camera. So much that they're starting to flower, so I'm going to have to start nipping out the flowers every couple of weeks that they pop up, because I really don't want them to flower yet. So, right, so back to the hose. So this one should go there and that one will go there. So I need to put a new one in here. So I'll grab the gear and we'll have a look at it. So the pipe that I'm using is recycled from my beds because it didn't work there particularly well. It just hit the plants and the sprayers just didn't work. So that's 13mm, and I'm using 4mm extension, so for the drip, and these are just little drip feeders, and they shove in onto there, and that is the wee bit that goes into the actual pipe, the 13mm pipe. A cup of boiling water is handy to have too, because it softens things up so that you can pop them in. Okay, I am no expert at this, and I do find it quite difficult to do because of the strength of my hands. And sorry, I know you can't see me, but I do know that if you use some boiling water, that it does make it easier. And of course, being careful with the boiling water. So pop that over there. So work out your length of tubing you want, and I'm usually fairly generous with mine so I can move it. Okay, and then you just, with a good pair of scissors or whatever you've got that's sharp, I'd suggest not using like a craft knife or anything because that could slip. Right, okay. So you're wanting to get that into there, and to get it in easily, just dip your end in, warm it up. Doesn't take long. And then just shove it in, and hey presto. Now the only problem with that is that when they do get hot over summer, they can pop off. But yeah. Now the next bit is the bit that I have difficulty with. So because this pipe, I want it on that side, not at the top, I have to pierce it with this little gidget. So this bit is where I often find it a bit more difficult. Well, that one went in easy enough, she says. Okay, so here we go. Now this is the bit on this particular gadget, different gadgets, different things. So it's just a matter of getting that off. And you can actually, no, I'll pop that in first, just being awkward, Dawn. Pop that in there, and then you've got to try and get it in. And this is where I have difficulties with the strength of my hands, is getting this bit in. Oh, that clicked in okay. The ones I did in the other bed I was having big problems with. Right, okay, so that's there. Warm that up again on this end. Doesn't take long. Tap out the hot water because you don't want to scald yourself. And pop that in. Now there's actually a really good video on the Mitre 10 website. I'm not promoting Mitre 10, but I did find it was really helpful for me, being a complete novice with putting watering systems together. So yeah, and I've got that on the wrong side, so that needs to go in like that. Yep. Right, okay, and then I just need to make a hole with my trusty scissors. I've done the other two while I was waiting for the kettle to boil. Right, just a wee hole there, doesn't need to be huge. And just let the thing go in like that. And you don't have to make them long, but I just want them flexible, so if I need to move them. There we go, done. Now I've just got to keep heading along here and get the rest of them done. Right, that's done. It was quite successful in the end after I worked out if I poured hot water onto the 13mm pipe where I had the hole to pop in the wee gidget, the spiky gidget, which was the one I was really having trouble getting in because of my hands, it went in way easier. So I have put in about another 5 into the strawberry bed, and I was on such a roll I went over to where I planted the roses last week, and I finished popping in the extra bits over there as well. So I think I put about another 4 or maybe 5 in there as well. So they all need testing yet. I'm not doing that today. It is too cold to have water spurting everywhere, so I will deal with it on a slightly warmer day. Plus it's really wet, so the beds have had a good drink, so it's going to be hard to see any leaks, so I just need it to dry out a wee bit so I can see where it is leaking. So it's after 3 now, but I am determined to get some more of these bulbs in. So this is the ice cream container, and as you can see, some of them are sprouting. There's a mixture of different bulbs in here, bits and pieces that I pulled out of that front bed, and some pots and things that I found lurking. So I'm just going to pop them in. I've got some old pots here that I'm just going to pop them in. The idea being, and I've already done some late last week before the rain, so it would have been Tuesday, so early last week, not late last week. I popped in a whole lot of freesias, the double mixed coloured ones, and some Montana. I've put them into pots. My idea is that all these pots that I'm putting them in, I'm going to just leave them in the pots. Come summer, I'm just going to move them down the side alley, let them die off, feed the bulb, cut off the top, and come autumn, next year just pop them back up on the deck and leave them there for a year or two before I chuck them out and split the bulbs up. So hopefully I'll get a couple of years of good show on them, and then each year I'll just pop a bit more compost on top of them because they'll sink as time goes by. Sorry for squinting, but that sun's right in my eye. Right, so I'm going to do this, and I'll leave you to it and catch up with you probably tomorrow, I'm hoping. If not, I think Tuesday and Wednesday are looking okay, and I want to get out the front, do that rose, and prune the fruit trees. That's the other thing I need to really do this week. So hopefully the weather plays the game with me. Catch you then. Good afternoon. It's Wednesday, and it's not that warm out here, but I'm quite determined to get a few things done out here today. We had a good frost this morning, but yeah, it's cleared, but that easterly's got up. But it doesn't look like that easterly's going to give up in the next week or two, so I'm just going to get on with things. But before I do that, I was thinking the other day while I was watching a YouTube while I was busy crocheting away, and I sort of thought, my videos are very much, my vlog is very much about doing rather than sitting and being there. So like a lot of wonderful vlogs and things like that, they look at their local environment, and you often see drone shots and all that sort of thing. Yeah, I don't do drones, and plus because I live in amongst neighbours, people don't appreciate drones. So but I did want to say, well, yeah, I'm not always doing. I often sit and just think and look and what have you. I just don't record those moments because, yeah, they're not particularly interesting, seeing me sitting there twiddling my thumbs, enjoying the outside. But if there is anything naturey and what have you, I do try and show it. So, yeah, hopefully as spring kicks in, and, yeah, I mean, we're in July now. So, you know, as spring kicks in and we can see things, that'll be great. Talking of nature, my noisy seagulls are around again today, so I do apologise if you suddenly hear screaming. They are fighting over who gets to sit on the lamppost down the far end of the drive. Oh well. So this afternoon I am going to attempt to do the trees, i.e. prune them. It shouldn't be too much because they're still young trees. It's more just making sure that there's no dead, dying or diseased wood there, and removing a few things that are going in the wrong direction. And I like all the pruning, you know, 45 degree, clean for clippers, they're sharp. I've got loppers if I need them. So yeah, it's just about standing back and really looking at the tree and thinking, okay, which way do I want it to go? And with my trees, I don't want them to go up because I need to be able to reach them. So while they're not on dwarf fruit stock, I can control their size by pruning. Now, while winter pruning is usually around dead, dying, disease and direction type things, it can be also about size. But there is also some really good educational YouTube videos around summer pruning for keeping, you know, things to the right size. And I will try and remember to put the link to the really good one. It is quite old. It's well over 12 years old now. It is based in America, but it's done by a guy who his whole career has been around fruit trees and fruit tree pruning and caring for fruit trees. So he really does know his stuff, and he is often referenced by other YouTubers all over the place. So, you know, it is good stuff. So what I'll do is we'll prune one tree together, and then after we've pruned that, I'll keep pruning and we'll do a bit of speedy and a bit of music. Okay, sorry, I was struggling a bit to find an angle that didn't end up with sun flare, so hopefully you can see me and that you can see most of the tree. So this tree is my apricot, and it did quite well last year for a new tree. I got, I think, about 6 fruit off it, so I was quite happy. But it does have stuff that needs doing to it. So it's got this branch here is pointing inwards. You want to try and keep the centre of your tree clear, and I've got another one here that's pointing inwards. This one here, if you can see me, is okay at the moment because it's filling a gap that's sort of out this way, so I'm not too worried about it. This one, at the moment, I'll probably leave it because it's going up. Same with this one, even though they're heading in, but these centre ones pointing absolutely directly inwards and they're going to cross over, I'm going to remove. Okay, so let's have a look at these ones that I want to get. So this one can come straight out right up against the main limb. And no, my clippers aren't blunt, it's my crappy hands. Just no strings. This one, move around to get it. Oops, clippers. There goes my seagull. Move these clippers before I break my neck on them. Right, now this one is going straight in here, so I think I'll take it out. Okay, so that looks good. And there's a little one just down here that I might take out too. Okay, now what does that leave me? What you might not be able to see because the camera angle is that I've got about 7 leaders, well, long leaders off these main branches, and they're heading straight for the sky, which is way too tall for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim them down to my arm reach when I'm standing. So let's have a go at that. I may have to use the big loppers, but we'll see. Right, now here's one. No, you can't quite see me, but it's this one here, and it's heading up for, where's my hand there on the camera? So from where the top of the camera is, roughly, it goes up about another 35, 40 centimetres. So for me, I need to cut that to an outside bud about there. Right, so that's that gone. And this one is much the same to an outside bud. These ones will be okay for another year, but I'll probably have to do them next year. This one I'll leave. This one here I will take to a bud there. Now, can I reach this one? This one might be a lopper one. Hold the phone. Now this one's not a lopper one because it's too big, it's just because I'm too short and it's in the middle and I can't reach. So take it to an outside bud. About there we go. Gotcha. Right, where does that leave me? One more around there. Excuse my back. And right into the sun, can't see a damn thing. Here's one. An outside bud. And that one. Whoops, stomped me. Where'd it go? Can't find it. Oh, there it goes. Silly me. Right, so that's the big long lead, it's gone. Okay, now sitting back, looking at this shape-wise, height-wise, Yeah, there's a few that potentially could be crossy ovies, but I think I'll give them a year and see how they go. There's some quite small little offshoots that may or may not develop into anything, but you know, there's next year, and if they're not doing anything, I can do it. I mean, this is only its second winter since I planted, so 2 years ago in winter I planted this, so it's doing really well. Now I'm going to keep moving along. I've got one of the plum trees to do, and this is the one that I was a bit concerned about over summer. It didn't fruit because I think it lost its blossom at the critical time. We had a southerly come through and it lost its blossom, but it's lost its middle stem, and I've gone back through photos and I for the life of me can't figure out whether it came like that or not. But it does have some strange looking bark disruption, and I had a friend around like late summer, and she wondered if it was cicada damage, but I don't really know about that, so gonna see how it goes this year. It struggled, and I think some of that may have been my fault, so I'm going to try and address that by not planting so much around it. And I'm definitely going to be watering it a bit more because I'll have more time to water it, because I'm setting up sprinkling irrigation for the big beds, and these little beds will just be hand watered this coming year. I'm going on to the golden peach. That probably needs a reasonable tidy up. It's got quite a lot of branches sort of poking in all directions, and thankfully it's not too high. It did fruit, and I got probably about 6 peaches off it. It had more than that, but a couple of them just went a bit funky. So yeah, and then there's the black boy peach tree. Now that one is one I grew from stone, so it's about 8 years old now. It was in a pot for most of its life till 2 years ago when I put it in the bed, and it's got a couple of strong leaders going straight for the sky, which I need to cut off. And the other one, which will probably get no pruning at all because it only got planted this time last year as a replacement for the one that I planted at the same time as these that had died. It did put out leaves and it seemed quite happy and it was establishing, so I'm not going to knock it back in any way. And it's not really put out anything that I need to knock back, so I'll just be doing the other 4. Other 3. Oh no, I've got 4. I've also got my apple tree to do, which is over there, so we'll get there. Right, a bit of speedy and a bit of music. That's all the fruit trees done, including the apple tree. Not that the apple tree needed a lot, 2 little branches, and that was about it. When I was pruning the black boy peach tree and I was using the big clippers, despite the fact that they had been sharpened, it didn't clip properly at the top, so I stopped and resharpened them, and then when I went to do the second one it still did the same. So, and they were sharp, I checked, so it's probably just me being an awkward Annie and not quite getting the clip right. So yeah, but anyway, they're clipped, tidied up and ready for this coming season. Many people say that you're meant to prune your stone fruit after it's finished fruiting, and yep, that's correct according to the literature, etc, etc, but it's just as fine to do it in the midwinter when you're doing everything else, and I just find it, do it all at once, and then I got it done and I remember. Now the other thing I've got to do this year is I've got to spray my peach tree for leaf curl. Okay, so I personally don't like spraying herbicides, pesticides, any sort of sides. However, when you read the literature around care of peach trees, or trees similar to peach trees, you know, so nectarine, etc. If you don't spray it, what happens is that the tree itself will start to suffer because the foliage is damaged, it doesn't photosynthesize properly, and then the tree itself isn't fed, so then your fruit sort of drops off and the poor old tree is not very well. So I will be spraying my peach tree, what I call blackwood peach trees, and I know it's got another name, I think it's sangria or something or other. They are quite resistant to leaf curl. Not sure why, but they just happen to be, even though they are a peach, so to speak, a red peach. So it shouldn't need spraying. Now, I'm no expert on fruit tree pruning and things like that. I mean, I learnt it when I was a kid, and over the years with different houses that we've had, I learnt it from my dad. And I've read books, and I've read, you know, papers, etc., and looked at other things online, etc. So that's how I've learnt. But, you know, there is always something else you can learn. And it was last year, I think. I actually went for a refresher course on pruning with one of the local arborists who was running a small workshop sort of thing, and yeah, it was well worth attending. I learned a few things that I'd either forgotten or just never knew. So, you know, if you are in your local area, just have a look out. I've seen one here in the Canterbury region that's been run at I think it's a library, you know, or it might be a resource centre or something, I can't remember now. But, you know, a fruit pruning session is well worth it. Mine wasn't expensive, so, you know, local is good. I do know the big nurseries also run them, and some run them free because they look at people coming in and buying their stuff because of what they've learnt. Others, of course, charge. So just have a look around. It's well worth it. But I will put in that link about the summer pruning and see if that's helpful to you at all. Now, as I said at the beginning when I was setting up for doing this afternoon, about sitting and watching and enjoying the outside and what have you, I actually have been sitting out here watching this big black-back gull, and he has been losing it in a big way. He's actually sitting on the top of one of my neighbour's roofs, which actually at the top would have a spectacular view across for him. But every time another seagull comes near him, or even deems to land on the lamppost on the street, he just loses it. But he's a beautiful looking creature. He is huge, and he's got a beautiful, well, from what I can see here, beautiful white feathers and black feathers. He's stunning. He's just taken off now, actually. He's heading off around. So, yeah, there's some beautiful, yeah. This time of year, too, the fantails are down and around, so they've been flitting around, around the house and around the garden and things like that. They're lovely just to sit and watch. However, what has been flitting around appears to be digging up my garden, and I think they've got 4 paws and meow. I'm not so sure it's one of mine. I know that they have their little fluffy friend, and he often will dig up my garden. So yeah, not overly impressed because they're busy trying to dig up the bulbs, which are actually trying to come up at the moment. And I will put up a picture just up here of a little snowdroppy bulb that's flowered in the last couple of days. Yeah, strange weather, I know. Beginning of July and we've got bulbs coming out. I'm going to plant the other rows now. I'm not quite sure what else I'll do yet, but we'll plant the rows and I'll come back to you if we're going to do anything else. Just see how that pans out. So now I've got the fruit trees done here in the front and the beds are topped up there. I want to focus on trying to finish the big long front bed that I was working on over autumn. Just having a quick tea break. Family bought me a cup of tea to keep me warm. So focusing on this bed this week will give me a chance to lift the things that I left. As you might remember, I had sort of number 8 wired, barriered off anything that needed to be dormant before it was lifted. So the roses and the fuchsias, and there was a lavender, they needed to be lifted over winter, and this is the time to do it. So I just planted a rose, which is the Remember Me rose. It was one of the 4 that I had bought, but it was to come out here. And I've just lifted its predecessor, which is also Remember Me. Now, it's just here in the pot behind me. It hadn't done well, and it was just due to me overcrowding the bed, and a very, very enthusiastic dianthus, a bright pink dianthus, that just kept smothering everything, including the rose and a lavender. So it's been pulled out, and this is the end. That's my thistle bed, and I've been coming out every week, 10 days, and pulling out any thistles that are deeming to rear their heads at the moment. But with the new Remember Me planted, I've lifted the old one that's not so well, though it's looking a wee bit better at the moment. Now that it's not competing, but I've potted it up, and I'm going to keep it out here, probably just sitting on the pavement in the arbour itself over summer, and I'll see how it goes. If it goes all right and it does perk up and what have you, I'll plant it in somewhere around here because I've got no room out the back at the moment for it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start, now that I've cleared that out, I'm going to start topping this up with compost and lifting the bits of wood that I had buried off, and start working my way towards the driveway. The aim being, hopefully by the weekend, I may have it completely, everything lifted and filled and what have you, because tomorrow's a write-off, I'm not here, so, and Friday I'll have work to do, so yeah, I'll have to say it'll probably be a Saturday job. One of the other things I want to do with this big long bed is to actually put in irrigation. So I've got to make my mind up how much of, I'm going to do the whole of that bed, that I've made my mind up, but these 2 other beds on either side of the arbour, I definitely do this one, I think, up to the rose. The other one gets a lot of shade, even in summer, so it may not need as much water, so I may just leave that not irrigated and just do hand watering on that. Putting in the irrigation might be a multi-day thing because it's really hard on my hands, though I did find the other day when I was doing some that I pour hot water over the pipe before I try and clip in the bit that goes in the hole that you make in the pipe. It makes clipping the piece in a lot easier for me. Right, I'll finish my cup of tea and we'll get on with getting this tidied up for half an hour or so. We'll do a bit of speedy and a bit of music. It's about 3:30 and I think I've done my dash. I've got up to where I lifted the thyme that I absolutely butchered months ago and moved it here. I'm not sure if it's going to survive, but I have popped it in here and we'll see if it takes off. I did take some cuttings, I think, so I've got something to replace it with, or if all else fails, I'll go and buy one. And it was getting really, really woody, so it needed a significant haircut, though. I think I went a wee bit far, but anyway. So that's that moved. I'm up to here. I've got the new rose in and moved it this way. Dug the thyme out, moved it over. Next is a fuchsia and a lavender. The lavender's actually going to do quite a big hopscotch over, but the fuchsia's only just going to go and move by about 1/2 metre. And that way, hopefully, by the time I've moved everything to where it, or lifted it because it just needs to come up because of the soil level, everything should be evenly spaced out, the predominant plants, and then I will just plant around it with annuals and things like that, or stuff that lasts a couple of years max, and just focus on trying to encourage things like my roses to grow better. So hopefully I'll catch you here Friday. We'll see how things go, how the weather pans out and things like that, and we'll keep working on the border and see if we can get down to the far end. Good afternoon. It is Saturday and it's time for a cuppa and a chat. I had hoped to get out on Friday, but by the time I sort of got myself organised and what have you, it was too cold where I wanted to work, so I gave that idea up. But I've got a hot cup of tea now and I'm lurking in the greenhouse because despite the fact that we've got a northwest arch up there, it's an easterly down here and it is bitter. And it's getting stronger and stronger as the afternoon's gone on. So what did we get up to this week? Well, we started off with fixing the irrigation that needed fixing, now that I had all the extra bits and pieces for it. So the strawberry bed's done and the back garden flower bed's all done. Then I managed to get in about another 4 pots of bulbs from that ice cream container that I had there. Then our next time in the garden together was on Wednesday afternoon when I got to prune all the fruit trees up. That went really well and I was really pleased with that. So if you've got any questions, pop them down in the comments and I'll see if I can answer them for you. After the pruning, we headed back to the big front raised bed that I have in the front garden and started on the stuff that needed doing that was left over from when I had done it in autumn. So that there were things like I had to wait for the roses to go dormant and the lavender and the fuchsia. So I made a good start on that, but it still needs some significant work done on it, and I'm working from the, what I'd like to call the thistle patch down the far end, back towards the drive. Not sure how much of that I'll get done next week with the current weather forecast. I'd just like to thank everyone who's subscribed to date. It's awesome. It just shows that I am actually giving you the information that you require. If you haven't subscribed to date, please do. It's nice to see you there. And it'll let you know when there's a new video. It is actually free, despite the word subscribe. It can be a bit confusing, that bit. And if you can like or comment, that all helps with the algorithm, and YouTube and things like that all work on algorithms. If you want to see what I'm up to on a daily basis, I also have a Facebook page by the same name, the Kiwi Barefoot Gardener, where I list what I'm up to on a daily basis and what the cats are up to. Now, I'm not sure what I'm going to be up to next week. The weather's not looking good, but every time I look at the weather forecast each day around lunchtime, or in the evening after 10 o'clock when it is updated, it changes. So yeah, I mean, they're forecasting quite extended period of rain and cold weather, so single digits. So yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm going to be doing. At the moment also, some of the weather forecasters are being very brave and forecasting the second week of the school holidays, saying that we might even have low snow here in the South Island. So I think they're being very, very brave. with that forecast. So whatever we get up to next week, I'll catch up with you then, and from me, until then, bye.